I'm 96 years old, and at some point, I almost came to terms with the idea that my body would never be as strong and resilient as it once was. I've gotten used to the fact that each morning begins with a quiet struggle just to get out of bed, stay on my feet, and make it to the kitchen, relying on the furniture like a ship in a storm. My muscles were slowly but surely melting away like snow in spring, and I no longer believed I could change anything. But one day, everything changed. No, there was no miracle, no magic pill or complicated treatment. I simply started eating 3 basic foods that were suggested to me by people close to me, who are just as elderly as I am. At first, I was skeptical, smirking and doubting what ordinary food could do, especially when even medications weren't helping. But then I felt my legs start to come alive, filled with strength and responding to me again, as if they remembered something long forgotten. These products literally halted the loss of my muscles, restored my confidence with every step, and allowed me to live an active life again instead of just existing. If you're feeling what I once felt, don't rush to give up. Perhaps these 3 products will help you feel confident again, just like many years ago. Would you like to know what these products are and how they can specifically help you? Then let me explain in more detail. Every elderly person knows how this works. At first, you stop noticing the fatigue in your legs. It just seems like you sat a bit longer today than usual or took a slightly longer walk. Then you begin to realize that after simple activities, like going to the store or even just a short stroll in the garden, you need to rest more and more, as if your muscles are gradually losing their ability to recover. Time passes, and suddenly you find that even getting up from a chair without using your hands becomes a task that requires effort and caution. The legs that once confidently carried you through the day are now feeling foreign, unstable, and weak, and you start to fear simple things: stairs, walks, visits to friends. And the saddest part is that you begin to sense that you're losing your own independence, autonomy, and the ability to do what has always been familiar and easy. This issue is called sarcopenia, the gradual yet inevitable loss of muscle mass and strength that comes with age. It silently creeps in after 60, and after 70, it begins to accelerate. If nothing is done, by the time you reach 90, it can lead to chronic fatigue, weakness, and even complete dependence on others. I went through this, witnessing my body literally fading away, and I had almost resigned myself to the idea that old age was taking away my right to be an independent person. But it was precisely at that moment, when hope was nearly gone, that I discovered there are products capable of not just stopping muscle loss, but actually restoring the strength I had lost. Let me tell you more about them. Perhaps they will be your salvation, just as they once were for me. When I first heard that simple foods could stop muscle strength loss and even restore my legs' previous confidence, I must admit I didn't believe it. We are so accustomed to thinking about medications and vitamins, complex procedures, and expensive supplements that we often forget the simple truth. Our bodies respond best to what nature provides. But just when I had almost completely resigned myself to the idea that my life would now be confined within the walls of my house and the chair where I spent most of my days, my granddaughter brought me an article about 3 foods that can support and strengthen muscles even in very old age. I initially smiled skeptically, thinking, of course, regular food can't do what even pills can't achieve. But then I thought, It can't get any worse. And what if it actually could get better? So I decided to find out for myself. And just a few weeks later, I realized changes were happening. My body became more responsive. My legs stopped getting tired so quickly. And in the morning, I started getting out of bed again without worrying that my legs wouldn't support my weight. Today, I want to share with you 3 amazing, simple, and affordable products that have literally saved me from a complete loss of muscle strength and brought back the joy of movement. These products are nuts, pineapple, and buckwheat. Each of them is unique in its own way and works exactly where it's most needed for older adults, strengthening muscles, reducing inflammation, and restoring energy. Let me tell you more about each of them so you can also see their benefits. One day, my granddaughter came to visit me with a small jar of a spread she called something unusual, hummus. I looked skeptically at the thick beige paste, but she insisted that I try at least a little, claiming it was not just food, but a true savior for aging muscles. I carefully took a piece of bread, spread a thin layer of the paste on it, and took a bite, not expecting any grand revelations. The taste was unusual, but pleasant. At that time, I didn't realize that it was my first step towards reclaiming the strength I had lost. My neighbor Miriam, who was already 93 years old, had long been complaining about severe fatigue and weakness in her legs. She could barely walk to the nearest store and was even afraid to go outside for a walk, worried that her legs might give out at the most inconvenient moment. After learning about my new habit, I told her about chickpeas and suggested she give them a try. At first, Miriam wasn't very enthusiastic about it, thinking that nothing could help her body anymore. But after a few weeks, she admitted to me that she started feeling noticeably better. She was able to go to the market by herself again, stopped feeling extremely tired after walks, and even started gardening, something she hadn't done in years. What caused this change? The fact is that chickpeas are a powerful source of plant-based protein, which is especially lacking for older adults. As we age, our bodies start to absorb animal proteins less effectively, and that's why muscles gradually lose strength and mass. The plant-based protein in chickpeas is easier to digest and helps muscles maintain and even increase their mass, regardless of age. Additionally, chickpeas are rich in dietary fiber, vitamins, and minerals, such as magnesium, potassium, and iron, which further support overall health and muscle function. Incorporating chickpeas into my daily diet turned out to be a simple and enjoyable endeavor. I started adding boiled chickpeas to vegetable salads, soups, and even enjoyed them as hummus spread on a slice of bread. Just half a cup of cooked chickpeas 2 to 3 times a week is enough to notice changes in how I feel. After a few weeks of regular consumption, I noticed that my muscles became stronger, more resilient, and more reliable. I was no longer afraid of long walks, and my legs confidently carried me along familiar routes just like they did many years ago. Now, nuts were not just a food for me. They had become a loyal friend and helper, helping me to stay independent and strong despite my age. Want to hear about the next product that also played a crucial role in my recovery? I never thought that an ordinary fruit, which I had always seen as just a sweet dessert or a part of holiday feasts, could become a real lifesaver for my aging muscles and joints. One day, my old friend Jacob, who was already 95 at the time, told me about how he dealt with constant pain in his legs and fatigue after even minor physical activity. His secret was surprisingly simple: pineapple. I was initially taken aback and asked, "Can a simple fruit really have such a significant impact on your well-being?" Jacob smiled confidently and said, "Just try eating a piece of fresh pineapple every day and see what happens." At first, I thought this idea was a joke, but I decided to give it a shot. After all, I had nothing to lose. Just a few weeks later, I really started to feel the changes. Surprisingly, my chronic morning knee pain, which had plagued me for many years, became noticeably less intense. It became easier for me to get out of bed in the mornings, and after walks, my muscles recovered faster and ached less. At one point, I realized that I was climbing the stairs with ease again, even though just recently I had been doing it very cautiously, gripping the handrail and pausing after each step. Why did pineapple have such a significant impact on how I feel? The thing is, this fruit contains a special enzyme called bromelain. Bromelain has powerful anti-inflammatory properties that help reduce chronic inflammation in the muscles and joints, a common issue for people my age. It's often inflammation that leads to pain, stiffness, and slow recovery after any physical activity. Bromelain not only reduces inflammation, but also enhances protein absorption, which is crucial for maintaining and repairing muscle tissue. Incorporating pineapple into my daily diet was incredibly simple. Every day I would eat just a small slice of fresh pineapple after breakfast. Sometimes I would add it to my morning oatmeal or blend it into a light smoothie with buckwheat, which I'll tell you about later. It didn't take much effort, and the results were surprisingly significant. Now pineapple has become more than just a tasty addition to my meals. It's a true ally that helps my muscles and joints stay strong and healthy every day. Thanks to this simple fruit, I've rediscovered the joy of movement and the confidence that aging doesn't have to mean constant pain and weakness. Do you want to hear about the third, equally important product that helped me regain my muscle strength? When I was just over 90, I started noticing that my energy was fading faster, and by midday, I felt so exhausted that my only dream was to quickly get to my favorite chair and not get up from it until evening. At first, I thought it was just an inevitable part of getting older. But one day my sister Eleanor, who was 92 at the time, shared with me her little secret for maintaining vitality and energy. The secret turned out to be so simple that I initially chuckled at it. Every morning, she ate plain buckwheat porridge. "Buckwheat?" I asked, surprised. "Do you really believe that such a simple dish can give you energy?" Eleanor just smiled and replied that she had been eating buckwheat for breakfast every day for a month and felt much better. She had regained the energy to go shopping, stroll through the park, and even tend to her beloved flowers in the garden, something she hadn't done in a long time. I was, of course, a bit skeptical about it, but I decided to give it a try. Morning after morning, instead of my usual buttered toast, I started cooking myself a small portion of buckwheat porridge. In the first few days, there were no noticeable changes, but after a week, I began to notice that my energy didn't fade as quickly as it used to. I stopped feeling extremely fatigued by lunchtime and realized that even in the evening, I could walk around the house without the worry that my legs would give out on me. Why did buckwheat turn out to be so beneficial for my aging muscles? It turns out that it contains a whole range of essential nutrients that our muscles need to maintain strength and endurance. Buckwheat is rich in plant-based protein that is easily absorbed by the bodies of older adults. Additionally, it contains a lot of magnesium and B vitamins, which improve metabolism, strengthen the nervous system, and provide muscle tissues with the necessary energy for daily activities. Now, buckwheat porridge has become my morning ritual. I enjoy eating it every day, sometimes adding pieces of fresh pineapple or a bit of dried fruit. It has turned into not just a healthy habit, but a true source of energy and vitality for the entire day. My legs no longer feel heavy and unmanageable. Instead, they confidently carry me as if the years no longer have any power over my muscles. Buckwheat has restored my joy of movement and brought back the energy I thought I had lost long ago. That's why I recommend this simple, accessible, and surprisingly powerful food to anyone looking to maintain and strengthen their muscles in old age. Want to know the best way to combine chickpeas, pineapple, and buckwheat for maximum effect? When I first started incorporating chickpeas, pineapple, and buckwheat into my diet, I didn't think about how they would interact with each other. I just ate them separately and enjoyed the small improvements. But over time, I noticed that when all three foods became a regular part of my daily meals, the results became much more pronounced and stable. I realized that it was their combination that provided my body with what it had been lacking: complete nutrition, energy, and protection against inflammation. Here's a simple and convenient way to incorporate all these foods for maximum benefit. In the morning, I start my day with a small serving of buckwheat porridge. It's literally half a cup of cooked buckwheat. I cook it in water, or sometimes add a little milk. For flavor and added benefits, I top it off with a few slices of fresh pineapple. Not only does this make breakfast tastier, but it also helps reduce morning stiffness and inflammation in the muscles, thanks to the bromelain found in pineapple. For lunch, I try to include chickpeas a few times a week. Sometimes I make a fresh vegetable salad with boiled chickpeas and a drizzle of olive oil. Other times, I simply enjoy it as hummus with a slice of bread. It's important to eat at least half a cup of cooked chickpeas 23 times a week to ensure your muscles regularly receive the necessary plant-based protein. In the evening, if you didn't manage to have pineapple in the morning, you can have a small piece of this fruit again in the evening or add it to a light fruit salad. Pineapple is especially beneficial in the evening, as its anti-inflammatory properties help muscles recover more quickly after daily activities. By regularly combining these foods, I noticed significant improvements within just a month. My muscles have become more resilient, my joints less painful, and my overall energy levels have increased to the point where I feel capable of moving actively and handling daily tasks without constant fatigue. Remember, the key here is consistency. These products work most effectively when consumed regularly rather than occasionally. Make it a habit, and soon you'll notice your body responding with appreciation. When I first heard about chickpeas, pineapple, and buckwheat, I could never have imagined that these simple foods could help me regain what I thought was permanently lost: strength and confidence in my own body. I've lived a long life and always believed that old age is a time of loss, when opportunities, energy, and hope for change gradually fade away. But it turned out that sometimes, to regain your strength, you don't need complicated solutions or expensive medications. Sometimes the most powerful remedy is what grows and thrives around us, something that is accessible and simple, created by nature just for us. Chickpeas provided my muscles with the essential protein that my body had been lacking in recent years. Pineapple relieved me of painful inflammation and allowed my muscles and joints to recover faster and more effectively. Buckwheat filled my days with energy and vitality that I had almost given up on regaining. But the most astonishing and wonderful aspect of how these foods work together is their synergy. Together, they support and enhance each other's effects, becoming a true source of strength, health, and energy. Today, at 96, I am once again living a full life, going for walks, visiting friends, and I'm not afraid to get out of bed in the morning. These three simple products have become my daily support, my personal team that helps me keep my body strong, fit, and independent. But before you start using these products, I want to remind you of the most important thing. Always consult your doctor before making significant changes to your diet. I've shared with you what has personally helped me, but every body is unique, and professional advice is always beneficial. Now I turn to you, dear readers. I encourage you to try this combination of nuts, pineapple, and buckwheat. Make an effort to include them regularly in your diet, and please share your feelings and results with us. Your story and experience can inspire others who have lost faith in their bodies becoming strong and capable again. I'm looking forward to your comments and stories about how these three simple products have helped you regain your confidence. Let's support each other, because it's never too late to feel young and strong again.